All right, guys, let's get to it. We got a lot of games to go through. If you guys are new to the channel, consider subscribing if you think it's worth it. Drop a like on the video if you think it's worth it. That's completely up to you. We're going to go through every single game today, and I'm going to give you my opinion against the spread on every single fucking game, every single fucking day. So let's do it. Let's do it. And if you guys are late to the streams, if you got a busy day in the morning, if there's some nights you can't make the live stream, these streams will be posted to my videos moving forward. So yeah, pretty cool. Let's get after it. Ooh, Stanford and Cal. I'm looking at a game that's live right now. There is 56 seconds left. Stanford is up 1. I remember thinking about maybe giving out Cal as a pick. Oh, it's a tie game now. Wow, do they have free throws? They might take the lead. All right, we can't get distracted. I was tempted to lie. I was going to live bet that right there. Who cares? Let's get on to tomorrow. And the first game on the slate is Boston College going to Notre Dame, and they are laying 2.5 on the road. So BC, they just lost to VTech, right? Notre Dame just lost to Miami. The Sharps are a little bit on Notre Dame here. I kind of lean the same way. It's a toss-up game. Totals 133.5, 2.5 points. I would lean Notre Dame on the money line. I mean, grab the 2.5, I guess, if you really want to bet. I don't know why you'd bet this game. And look, for the live streams on Saturday mornings and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, usually is a pretty in-depth slate. When we have a lot of these games, specifically Saturday, I can't take my time on every single game. So Notre Dame or pass next game. Here's a decent one. Nebraska, Maryland. No, isn't Maryland due for like a pretty good home court performance? Like a full performance, like first half and second half. I feel like that's what we're waiting on for Maryland. At home court. Now they've pulled some comebacks. They've been okay at times. 4.5 over Nebraska. Is 4.5 starting to get to that number where you can't trust Maryland? Will they find a way to win this game? Probably. 4.5, boy, it's starting to really creep out there, but I'm still on Maryland here. I'm laying 4.5 points with Maryland to win this game by 5 or more. That's the only way I could look at it. Next game, Georgia, Florida, 7.5 point spread. Georgia off the win over LSU. Florida, a much better team at home. A complete coin flip at a spread of 7.5. I don't know. I mean, I feel like Florida's going to get a way to get the job done here. Do they cover the number? Who is betting games like this? Maybe some fouls at the end, some free throws at the end. If Georgia gets desperate, gets us over the number. I'm going to lean Florida at home minus 7.5. I like them to win the game. I don't know if they can get past that number. Next game, Kansas, Houston, spreads 14.5. For a newcomer of college, not college basketball, the Big 12, Houston. Houston's been a great program as of late, but they're fresh to the Big 12. Kansas State, Jerome Tang at coach, a spread of 14.5. He was emotional the other night. He got a tech. What was that, Iowa State game? I don't know here. 14.5 is starting to get a little crazy. A Big 12 conference game, and the spread is 14.5. Houston's going to win this game, but they're a defensive squad. The total in this game is low. It's 128.5. I feel like K-State can cover 14.5. Hate this game. I don't want to go against Houston, but a gun in my head, if I have to bet a spread of 14.5 in the Big 12 with these two teams, I'm going to take Jerome Tang. I'm going to take Kansas State here to cover the spread. Never bet on college basketball, but I finally accept college football is no more and move on. That was my most profitable sport. Oh, okay. I got you. I almost had you mixed up. So you did well in college football. Is that what you're saying? Sorry, guys. The reason the stream tonight was 15 minutes late, I was late at the gym. I'm all fucked up today, sort of behind. Never bet on college basketball, but have to finally accept college football is no more and move on. That was my most profitable sport. I get what you're saying now. I totally get it. I totally hear you, man. I cannot explain to you how much I relate to that exact feeling, but not just college football, but NFL as well. If you could give me college football on Saturday and NFL on Sunday for 52 weeks a year, I'd be a fucking gazillionaire. I'd be the richest man on planet Earth. And unfortunately, sometimes I run into a problem where when I feel like the football season is kind of winding down, I get a little bit too aggressive and I don't stay quite as consistent with my bet sizing because I completely agree. I almost I would do anything to have college and NFL every single week out of the year. There'd be no need for a job. There'd be no need to do anything. The profit's incredible on football. I wish it was a longer season. I totally agree with you. One thing that you should consider this spring, I believe in late March or maybe even April, the XFL and the indoor football, two different subpar kind of fraudulent NFL leagues have actually joined each other, and they're going to be kicking off this spring in a more serious matter. So I am going to be extremely interested, paying attention, and hopefully dialed in on this spring football league. It's going to be a lot more weeks, so it'll get us through spring, hopefully part of summer. I'm not sure how close it gets. Hopefully it goes all the way from spring to preseason NFL. So there is football that will be available to be bet on come springtime. So look into that because I completely agree with you. Football is the cash cow. There's no doubt about it. I appreciate the comment. I completely agree. Let's get into the next game here at Lehigh and Holy Cross. Unfortunately, I'm not familiar enough with both of these teams to give you an opinion. I'd probably take the points with Holy Cross at home here, but I'm going to have to move on to the next game. William and Mary, same thing. Northeastern, no opinion. I'm going to move on. Guys, I'm a Big 12 guru. I'm a Big 12 maestro. I went to school at West Virginia. All I know is the Big 12, Power 5. Big 10, ACC, the old Pac 12. That's what I just have absorbed over decades. I know everything about these teams, but when we start talking about Lehigh and Holy Cross, these are like I could go out and ball with these people. All right. I'm a big shot. I can ball with these guys. Do I know their teams? No. Do I know I could probably go on the court and score 6? Yeah, I can. I'm going to pass. I can't be talking about William and Mary and Lehigh and Holy Cross on these streams. It's a waste of time. I'm not interested. And I'm not going to be accurate. I'm not going to give you guys suggestions that are going to just be like out of control, just guesses. Virginia, Louisville. Tough game. Spreads 8.5. Virginia got the job done last week. Revenge game over NC State. Depending on when you got that number, they covered. I know it was 3-4 early, moved up to, I think, 5.5. They won the game by 5, right? In overtime. Crazy game. Guys got to be on these spreads early. Virginia's D. I don't know here. Louisville, everybody's beating up on Louisville. 8.5 points, though, a Virginia team that really relies on home court. 8.5. Virginia's going to win the game. Virginia's going to beat Louisville. Is it going to be by 8.5? I don't think so. I don't think so. Not on a Saturday. Not on a noon Saturday. I know Louisville's had a down year and this and that. I got to take 8.5 with Louisville. I have to do it. I hate to do it, but I have to do it. Next game. Here's an interesting one. Georgetown at Providence. This big coaching thing here. Ed Cooley back to Providence. He's riding with Georgetown now. Spread's 11.5. Money's pretty heavy on Providence right now. 11.5. Is that? Now look, I gave out Providence as a free pick on my TikTok this past week. I gave Providence out over Seton Hall. So don't think I'm like some Providence hater, but I think this is too many points. I think Ed Cooley's going to be fired up. Georgetown has some competitive games. They hung in there against UConn. They hung in there against Butler, I think it was. Georgetown, yes. Are they the lower end of the Big East? Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. They are the bottom. Maybe DePaul. They're down there. 11.5 with this type of a scenario. I think we have to take the points here. The Sharps are leaning Providence early, and maybe they want to put it on them because of the coaching factor. But No, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to lean Georgetown getting 11.5 in this spot. Detroit Mercy and Green Bay is the next game, and I have no opinion because I'm not familiar with those two teams currently. There's no reason for me to give you an opinion that might be not accurate. So we're going to move on. Same thing with Central Michigan and Western Michigan. I mean, what are we doing? Is there a filter on the sports books where I can just look at Power 5? Well, I can do some of the West stuff. Very familiar with San Fran and Gonzaga and Santa Clara, some of those middle of the country teams, Wichita, FAU. I'm cool with those, and I follow them closely. But I can't be talking about Detroit Mercy and Green Bay. And by the way, if you follow my SoBet, we are now 12-4 over on SoBet. That's right, 12-4. And the last pick I gave out was Celtics money line paired with San Francisco to cover over Gonzaga. Cash with that. So I am familiar with some teams on the second and third tier of the sport. Let's move on to the next game. 1 p.m. Seton Hall at Marquette. The spread's 9.5. Marquette kind of been stumbling here. Now Seton Hall didn't have one of their good players against Providence. What are we doing here? Spread of 9.5. Boy, it just feels like it's one of those games. I think Marquette is eager to get right, though. That's a huge number, and Seton Hall's looked very good, very competitive in a lot of these games. I think that's a reason why this spread is lower than maybe it normally would be. I mean, normally this could be 12, 13, 14. Marquette kind of been lately. Seton Hall been fairly impressive in some of these games. I think that's leading to some line value. I'd lay 9.5 at home with Marquette. I think they start to get things together and play a little bit better. You guys can let me know in the comments about that one. Seton Hall and Marquette. That's a very, very interesting game. Seton Hall off that upset from Providence. Now they're on the road. Marquette, man, Marquette's 14 in the country. I feel like they're closer to like 7 or 8. I got to lay the 9.5 with Marquette in this spot. Maybe use the money line in some parlays. Missouri at South Carolina. So South Carolina, I gave out again on my other social media platforms. Guys, YouTube, we are going to be doing these live streams daily from now on, but you got to be on my TikTok and my SoBet. If you're on the SoBet platform, throw me a follow. I don't charge for picks on SoBet, but I'm on there. So if you're already on SoBet, like you're following someone else or whatever, throw me a follow. I'm 12-4 over there. But TikTok, South Carolina, one of my free picks, man. It was the upset. Kentucky goes down to SC. Missouri, South Carolina. Why do I feel like Missouri's about to cover here? I think I'm taking 6.5 with Missouri. Could this even be an upset? This could be an upset. Missouri getting 6.5. A South Carolina team that's all fat and happy. Knocked off Kentucky. 6.5 points for the Missouri team that was competitive. I watched them full game against Kansas on the road to Kansas. They looked half competitive. I think I'm going to take the 6.5 with Missouri here over the Gamecocks. Next game, Akron, Miami, Ohio. Next game, Loyola Navy. Next game, Kansas, Iowa State. Here we go. Big 12. Let's go. Kansas, Iowa State. The line's already moved quickly. 3.5 to 4.5. Very quickly. Public on Kansas, sharps on Iowa State. At 4.5, some people are going to wake up tomorrow. They're going to see 5. I don't know if it'll get to a 5. You're starting to get to that area. 7, 8-point game. 30 seconds left. Kansas, McCullough bangs a 3-pointer. Gets it back underneath that margin. Iowa State gets the win and Kansas gets the cover. It really could be something like that. When you start to take Kansas and you get them up to 3, 4, 5, you get a little bit past that. You get 6, 7 points on the Jayhawks. Man, it's hard to believe they don't cover, but that's also low-hanging fruit, guys. You got to understand when you wake up on a Saturday and you're like, okay, what am I going to bet today? I got to bet on college hoops. I'm scrolling through the slate. I'm scrolling through. Wow, Kansas, number 7 in the country. Kansas Jayhawks, and I can actually take them, not as the favorite, but getting points. Now, I know it's a road game and it's the Big 12, the best conference in college basketball by a fucking mile, but I can take 4.5 points with Kansas. Okay, well, I want you to ask yourself, are the books just going to let themselves get burnt like that? Are they just going to dangle 4.5 points in front of your face to take with the Jayhawks without worrying about it? I don't know, guys. I'm thinking like a bookmaker here. I'm laying the points with Iowa State. Free throws at the end can always push this over. If it's a 6, 7, 8 point game, Kansas will foul at the end to try to get back into it. This could easily go from a 3, 4 point margin up to 7 or 8. I'm laying points with Iowa State. They've been the better team. Kansas is not the Kansas we've seen before. They have no depth. Hunter Dickinson is soft as butter. They got no guts. Kansas has no guts. They got a couple. They have no experience. McCullough's experience, Dickinson's experience, but they don't have like they don't have like not even like an Embiid, not even like man, I'm trying to think of when I was at West Virginia. There was some real rock solid backcourt that you could bet your life, you could rely on them. I don't know, man. Harris, McCullough, they got one sharpshooter, that young white kid. Dickinson's too soft. I think they're going to get out rebound, out physical in this game. Give me Iowa State laying the number. It sounds crazy going against the Jayhawks like this, but I gave out Cincinnati on my TikTok in that last Kansas game. I gave out Cincy to cover. Kansas was lucky to beat Cincy, and they were at home. They were in Lawrence. Give me Iowa State. I'm going to lay the points. Next game, Bowling Green, Toledo. No idea. Moving on. Illinois State, Evansville. Moving on. North Carolina, Florida State. Is this a game where North Carolina goes to sleep? Gets out of there with a win, but it's ugly? Yep. I think this is it. I'm going to take the points. 7.5. 7.5. I'm taking the Seminoles. 76% of bets on the Tar Heels, but 54% of the money. People dropping real big money on this game. They're on the Seminoles. They're on the Seminoles early. I'm taking 7 and that. Do we lock this up? Do we lock this up? Let's lock this up. Let's lock this up. Let's do it. Lock alert. Lock alert. Let's do it. Florida State catching 7.5 at home over the number 3 Tar Heels. Give me Florida State as our first lock of the night. Let me go ahead and update the banner. By the way, guys, this is just for fun. My best picks, the stuff that I'm really putting big money down. Become a member. It's $30 a month if that's something that interests you. If not, no problem. But this is more just for fun. These are serious leans. I'm not messing around here. This is a serious opinion. Let's go ahead and put our first lock on the screen. Florida State getting 7.5 over the number 3 Tar Heels. Next game, Towson, Delaware. Towson, Delaware. Delaware, I'm half familiar with. I can't bet this game. Next game, Mountaineers, Oklahoma State. Will Oklahoma State get their first conference win of the year? I think so. 4.5. Here's the thing. Mountaineers, West Virginia is a team that's going to cover numbers like this. Like it's this is the battle of the bad teams in the Big 12, right? So who's going to be the worst? No one wants to lose this game. No one wants to be labeled as the dog of the Big 12. I think we have a scenario where both teams fight hard, and West Virginia, in typical Mountaineer fashion, heartbreak. It's going to be a heartbreak. 4.5. 4.5 starts to get tricky. The Mountaineers can hang in there. They hung in there with Ohio State. They have some horrible losses, lost like at UMass, but didn't have some players. Edwards is back for the Mountaineers. Battle's coming off a bad game. Bounce back for him. He should be better, but Oklahoma State's D is good. They're hunting this first game. Home court advantage in the Big 12, significantly important. 4.5. I mean, West Virginia is atrocious. They're what, 0-3 in conference on the road to cover the spread? I think we have to lay 4.5 points here. I think we lock this up. Do I go against the Mountaineers and lock this thing up? Oklahoma State? I can't do it. I can't do it. Heavy lean, very, very serious lean. Like I'm very close to locking up Oklahoma State minus 4.5. I can't do it. Yale, Harvard, no interest. I have some other things to say about those schools. We'll move on. Texas Tech, Oklahoma, extremely interesting line. 3.5 is like 3.5 is very fishy. I feel like this should be 6, right? Oklahoma, they got destroyed by Texas at home. What was that? A 15-point lose, 75-60, something like that. Embarrassing. But can we trust them? Texas Tech? What is Texas Tech supposed to just walk in to Norman and hand them a win? Are they just going to lie down and just say, okay, you guys have a home court. You can have this one. No. Texas Tech's a very good team, extremely good. This is number 20 versus number 11 in the country. Texas Tech, Pop Isaacs, they got some talent over there. Oklahoma, home court advantage. 3.5 is very, very odd to me. And not only is it at 3.5, it's not moving. It's not moving an inch. It opened at 3.5, I believe. I thought it would have moved up immediately. I thought maybe by tip off tomorrow at 2:00, we'd get to a 5 or a 5.5. If this thing's still at 3.5 tomorrow, then that's awfully fishy. But you have to lean with home court advantage. It's so hard to believe Oklahoma is going to drop 2 games in a row at home. Texas Tech, we've seen them get absolutely destroyed by Houston. They can lose. Maybe it's a shot at the end that's a difference in the spread. I think you got to lay the 3.5 with the Sooners. But that's an interesting one. Next game, Southern Illinois, Murray State, no interest. Next game, Lipscomb versus Lipscomb versus Stetson. Are these high school teams? Next game, Northern Illinois at Ball State. Fairly familiar with Northern Illinois, but we're going to move on. Boston University, Lafayette, move on. Charleston, Campbell, moving on. The Citadel down there in the Carolinas versus Chattanooga, moving on. Nichols versus Texas A&M. Commerce, very strong lean here. This is almost a lock. Just kidding. Who are these schools? Moving on. Guys, I just can't. There's so many games on Saturday. I can't take time to talk about these teams. ACC, Pittsburgh going to Miami, Florida. Pittsburgh opened up, I think, 4.5 or 5.5. It has dropped. Money's on Miami and it's still dropped. Very, very odd. Look, Pittsburgh got a win over Duke at Duke. They went into Cameron. They got a win at Duke. Miami, good at home. This is one where usually line movement and the data and the odds makers kind of telling you where to put your money will be enough to keep me away from a game. I can't do that here. Pittsburgh, they were down at Georgia Tech for a lot of that Georgia Tech game. They're not going to be able to come back and beat a team like Miami. Miami, off of a road win over NC State, was it? I'm not sure. I like Miami here. I mean, I hate lines dropping when the money's on Miami, and it makes no sense. And that is probably enough just to stay off this game. Give me Miami. Give me Miami. They're just the better team. New Mexico State, Louisiana Tech, next game. Grand Canyon, next game. Indiana, Illinois. Again, starting to get up into crazy land. A spread of 14.5. Now they're coming off a Northwestern upset. Shannon back in the lineup for Illinois. That's huge. 14.5. You're just starting to get to crazy numbers. That's a good team, though. And it's gone up. The bookmakers are respecting the money coming in on Illinois. And it's not a heavy favorite. 56% of the money. We're not talking anything crazy. I think you got to lay the points here. 14.5. Huge number. Don't care. If they get rolling in this game, they can cover. I'm going to lay the points with Illinois in this spot. Next game, we're up to, up to 3 o'clock. We're only to the 3 o'clock part. Crazy, man. So many games on Saturday. Villanova at Butler. This was a pick 'em. Now Butler's favored at 1.5. Has Butler overachieved this year? I feel like they have. A lot of money's on Butler, though, here. A lot of money's on Butler. I think I'm going to go with it. I think I'm going to ride with the money here. Butler on the money line. It comes in at -114 currently on FanDuel. No need to mess with the 1.5 point spread here. Take a team who you like. This is a coin flip game. Go to the casino. Play roulette for fun. Don't bet on a game like this. Who knows what's going to happen? My gut actually tells me Villanova, but I'm gonna go with the odds makers here. Sharp money's on Butler early. Moved off of a pick 'em to a 1.5 point favorite. If we wake up tomorrow and the line's like 3.5, I'd feel better about Butler on the money line. I'm gonna lean Butler for now. Next game. Auburn, Mississippi State, 2.5 point spread. You would think Auburn off the Alabama loss is an immediate bounce back. Oh, they got their loss out of the way to the Crimson Tide. Now take them next game. It's a lock. I don't think so. The whole world's on Auburn here. The whole fucking world. I like Mississippi State. We're gonna lock this one up. I think we got this is a lock alert. This has got to be a lock alert. Auburn, number 8 in the country, off of a loss at Alabama, which is a fine loss. No problem with that. I do like Auburn. But now in a bounce back position to where you think no way there's just no way Auburn's going to lose 2 in a row. Whatever. They lost to Bama. I'll catch them on the bounce back. The line dropped 3.5 to 2.5 with the money on Auburn. And the percentage of the bets on Auburn is much smaller than the percentage of money. Odds makers are telling me Miss State. Guts telling me Miss State. Auburn is the better team, and if these teams played on a neutral court 10 times, it'd be 7-3 Auburn. But here, I don't know, guys. Mississippi State. I think we got to do it. We got to do it. Lock it up. Auburn. Add them to the list. Let me edit it. Or Miss State. My bad. I'm tripping, guys. Late night at the gym. Miss State catching what? 2.5? Catching 2.5. Save that. Let me add it in. Wow, those are some fishy lines. Florida State and Mississippi State are our 2 locks so far. Let's move to the next game. Colorado State at Wyoming. I don't know, guys. What are we doing here? Colorado State can shoot the ball pretty well. Coming off that loss against Nevada. That was a good spot. That was a great spot from Nevada. And I fucked it up. I hammered it. I knew Nevada was going to kill him, but I parlayed it with one other thing that lost. So stupid. So ignorant and dumb doing that. I hate that. Should have just hammered Nevada. I was thinking about Nevada on a double result. It's -110. That was the block of the year. Damn it. What a fucking waste. Here against Wyoming, they're going to get back on track. Are they going to get back on track? Laying 8.5? No. No, they're not. Give me Wyoming plus 8.5 over Colorado State. Colorado State probably gets this win. Give me Wyoming in the points. Next game. Clemson, Duke. Clemson, Joe Girard. I mean, they got some snipers over there at Clemson, but I saw that game against Clemson to where they blew a double overtime game to Georgia Tech. They were up like 5 or 6 with like 10 seconds. It was my last leg in my parlay of the night, and it went to overtime, and I knew it was cooked. Clemson getting 7.5. My gut tells me they can hang in there, but I can't trust the decisions from the coaching staff. Duke's a heavy public play, super heavy. This is a clean pass for me. I don't even know what side I'd give out. You give out 7.5 with Clemson. Duke wins by 15. You feel like a complete idiot. You lay 7.5 against a Clemson team that's got some sharpshooters, and Duke gets out there with, they get out of there with their 4-point win. Whatever. They move on. I'd lean points in Clemson. There's no way I'm going to bet it. Here's the next game. Good one. Really good one. Really good one. TCU, Baylor, spreads 4.5. I think it dropped. I think it opened at 5.5, which is very, very alarming. Most of the money's on Baylor, and I agree with that. And I think this goes back to a 5.5. TCU, they needed a second half rally to get by Oklahoma State. They've lost numerous games. They're not good on the road, but they have the experience and the talent to pull off these upsets. But Baylor, this is a terrible spot. Baylor off in the bounce back position, back at home. The Texas game was a heartbreaker for them. They ran into a buzzsaw. That was like the most desperate spot ever for the Longhorns. And I was on Texas. That was a good one. That was a pretty risky parlay of mine. I really needed that to come through. What was I on that morning? I was on Texas money line and one other that morning that both came through. And it was awesome to watch. It was one of those games to where it was back and forth, but you knew those odds makers weren't making Texas a favorite for nothing. In this spot, I can't trust TCU. I like Baylor at home to get the job done. This feels so square and so public, and it is. This is an extremely public play. I'm laying the points with Baylor. I mean, what do you guys think? I don't care. This is one where I don't care. Maybe the books are just like, okay, everyone can win. Because you can't give out too many points. TCU still has talent, and they play hard. Baylor's winning this game. Next game, Utah, Boise State. UTSA, South Florida, Southern Miss Marshall. I mean, come on. I'm scrolling. Starting to get into the evening now. I'm at 4:00 games. A lot of garbage in here. Long Beach State, UC Riverside, Samford off of that loss against Furman, gave out Furman. Eastern Tennessee State. Boy, the Sharps are on Eastern Tennessee State. I can't do it, though. Samford just lost. They had that win streak going. Now they're in a bounce back. I can't do it. I got to move on. Let's try to find some Power 5. Guys, I go over every single game in these streams, but I'm not going to give out an opinion on teams I just am not familiar with. Tennessee Tech versus SIU Edwardsville? I've never watched a minute of basketball on either. There's no way I'm giving out opinion on these games. Colorado, Washington State. Washington State money line. Lock it up. This is an immediate. This is an alert. This is critical, guys. Lock alert. Fucking immediately. This is big time. Yeah. Washington State. Colorado. Screw Colorado. I'm pissed that they won the other night, too. Washington with the most gutless shooting. Washington was 1 for 8 3-pointers in the first half. I had Washington upset Colorado. Now I'm on Washington State. Washington State was the right play the other night over Stanford. Better on their home court. Now they're catching a 1.5. Absolutely not. We're adding this to the locks right now. Washington State is an absolute lock. This is serious. Washington State money line. There you go. So we're up to 3 locks for Saturday. Washington State's winning this game. Next game, Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech. Spread's too big. I have zero opinion. Virginia Tech probably wins the game. Are they going to cover 8.5? Probably not. Georgia Tech beat Clemson in overtime. Are they going to hang in there and be that annoying team that just hangs around and loses by 4? Probably. I'll lean Georgia Tech in the points, and that just feels it makes me sick to say that. Next game, Iowa, Michigan. This one's interesting. It's a 1.5 point spread. 1.5. 1.5. This is a clear pass. There's no way you guys can put your money on Michigan basketball. If you lose it, you're going to feel so stupid. You're really going to bet Michigan? But the Sharps are kind of the Sharps are kind of Michigan here at Michigan money line. It's awfully tempting at home, -106. They're overdue. Iowa's too good. I don't want Iowa on the road against Michigan. I don't want Michigan at all, anywhere, anytime. Next game. And I'm scrolling. I can't find a good one. Arizona, Oregon. Is this an upset in the making? Arizona, man. I was so high on Arizona for a lot of this year. I was so high on them. Laying 3.5 at Oregon. Oregon got it together in that second half of that last game. They got those big guys back. They can rebound. They have the bigs. I think Oregon State catching 3.5 is a lock. Is this not a lock? Yep. This is a lock. I'm updating the banner. Lock number 4. We're going with Oregon catching what? 3.5, is it? 3.5. Tempted to put in the money line. Oregon plus 3.5. Lock number 4. Lock number 4. I can't trust Arizona, man. They've looked so it's just such an erratic team. So good. Could be anyone in the country, could kill anyone in the country by 20 any given game. Can lose any given game. They look soft and gutless against UCLA for a while. I don't know. They play with their food. I don't like them on the road here. Next game. Kentucky, Arkansas. Gotta go Kentucky in a bounce back, right? That seems too easy. Spread 6.5. Maybe having the big ranked team in town is just enough to kind of get Arkansas kind of riled up. That team is so underperforming. It's pathetic. I still think you go that way. I mean, I absolutely hate to say it. I'd probably take the points with Arkansas. I'm not betting that game. Next game, Tennessee, Vanderbilt. I think the spread's way too big. 14.5. Is Tennessee winning? Yup. Tennessee's beating Vanderbilt. Right? I almost just had to double check for a minute. Tennessee, Vanderbilt. Tennessee, Vanderbilt. Spread is 14.5. I like Vandy to cover. Tennessee wins. Vandy covers. Dayton, Richmond. Wow, Dayton's up to 16. Richmond Spiders. They going to pull off one at home? Richmond Spiders over Dayton. Richmond Spiders over Dayton. Do we lock this up? Is this a lock alert? The Richmond Spiders over Dayton? Yep. We're doing it. We're doing it. We're adding them to the list. Richmond. I can't believe that. Richmond plus 3.5 is another lock. What are we up to? 1, 2, 3. We're up to 5 locks. And look at them. Look at what we've chosen for the locks. That is some sharp. Yeah. Yeah. I like these. I like these guys. All right, let's keep chugging away here. Next game. Furman, Wofford. Furman off that big win at home. I got to pass here. I just can't do it. Minnesota, Penn State. Minnesota, Penn State. Minnesota's just so much better at home. So much better at home. Minnesota, Penn State. Minnesota. They didn't get that upset done, did they? I know they covered for me the other night. That wasn't an outright upset. Minnesota. Let me double check. Sorry, guys. Totally having a mind blank. Nope, that's right. Wisconsin escaped by the skin of their teeth. So Minnesota's lost 4 games in a row. They have wins on the road against Michigan. They lost on the road at like Ohio State. They lost on the road at San Fran. Loss on the road to Maryland. Boy, just a radically different team on the road, but in a desperate spot. That makes this tough. Now, if they had gotten by Wisconsin, if Wisconsin didn't get that 2-point win and Minnesota was off of that upset, I'd be on Penn State. And the line would be bigger too. I think I still got to be on Penn State. Penn State at home. I think Minnesota is going to be deflated. They were close, but couldn't quite get it done. Penn State money line -140. Don't mess with the points. Nittany Lions, they're going to get the job done. UCF Cincy. No, boy, what are we doing here? 6.5. I can't trust Cincinnati with free throws to cover with margin. Are they going to win? Yeah, they're desperate to win. They got to get this win over UCF at home. Cincy's got to get this win here. Should have beaten Kansas the other night. Can they cover 6.5? I'm not sure. I'm going to lean Cincy to win. Somehow UCF probably finds a way to cover. Arizona State, Oregon State. Arizona State, Oregon State. Oregon State, did they pull off the win tonight? I know they were competitive. Let me double check. Oregon State basketball. Or no, that was women's, my bad. Let me go back to the last game. No, yeah, they did. They did. They beat Arizona. South Carolina spread. Nah, hell no, Victor. No way. They just beat Kentucky, man. I think they're gonna be a little bit on their high horse. Nah, I don't like South Carolina in that spot. No. Here, let me put the locks on the screen, man. Are you just Victor? Are you just joining the here's what we came up with so far. These are our locks so far. And by my locks, like my best opinions I can give you guys without giving you like my premium picks that go to the members. But this is the next best stuff, and I bet these are going to hit. So Oregon State's off a huge win over Arizona. Now they got Arizona State. I think they got to come back down to earth. They're overvalued because of it. I think we got to go Arizona State in this spot. No? Money line's 132. Very reasonable number. Very, very reasonable number. Word. All right, bro. Yeah, so you can obviously go back in the stream if you want. This will be posted too to my YouTube after tonight's stream. I'm just going to post it as a video if you guys want to scroll back or whatever. Arizona State, Oregon State. I mean, it's going to be a competitive game. Obviously, if Oregon State can knock off Arizona, they can sure as hell beat Arizona State. But there's a reason that a team can beat a top 10 team in the country and they're still an underdog. Like, do you understand? Does that make sense to you? Oregon State just beat Arizona at home. They're still at home, and they're not even a favorite. Give me Arizona State on the money line. Do we lock this up? Arizona State? Do we lock this up? This is a lock alert. I mean, Oregon State, hold on. Oregon State just beats number 7 in the country, Arizona, and at home, they're not even a favorite. They're a 2.5-point dog. Yeah, we're adding it. Yeah, this is going on the list. Let me update the list. ASU money line. What's the money line price? -132. Yeah, I'm cool with that. That's pretty cheap money line price. There we go. Am I officially done with the NBA? Yeah, dude, for a while. It's going to be super select, man. Like the other night on SoBet, I gave out the Celtics money line and I parlayed it with San Francisco over Gonzaga for a cash for my followers on the SoBet platform. That was a playoff revenge spot. There was like a little extra, right? The Celtics were they were going to flex on them. Miami injury issues. There were already some things that were looking good for Boston. And then you get a spot where Boston needs to show Miami that if they meet again in the playoffs, they're not going to get punked. I mean, that was just a great spot. So it's gonna have to be like all the stars align for me to touch the NBA tonight. I put out the TikTok. I said, guys, Friday, it just looks sort of odd. Take the night off. And then 2 hours later, I post a fucking free play. 5 props and an NBA money line. All the props came through. Orlando Magic lose to the Grizzlies as a 6-point favorite. I just needed the money line. So I should have took the night off. I put the video out. Gut feeling. Don't touch it. Move on. Saturday looks beautiful. NBA, man, it's out of control. There's no defense being played. So yeah, it's just really tough for me moving forward to mess with anything. But let's continue here with college hoops. We got where were we? We were on Oregon State and Arizona State. We added Arizona State to the lock list. UCF and Cincy, we already touched on that. DePaul and Creighton, 23.5 point spread. I mean, am I really going to talk about this? I mean, you gotta lean Creighton at home, but no way am I touching that game. Let's keep scrolling here. UCLA, USC, battle of the mids, gross game. Does home court advantage get USC a win? Probably. God, USC and UCLA. I mean, UCLA, USC. My gut says UCLA wins the game. I just hate USC. Bronny James, man. If his dad wasn't LeBron, he's not even in the fucking conversation for an NBA player. People think Bronny James is going to the NBA. I don't know if he could even hoop on the rec court where I went to school. I mean, average Thursday night at the W rec court, center court. We had some ballers on the court. I mean, everyone's 6'4" throwing down dunks. Bronny James would get owned at the rec center at WU. I mean, come on. He can't play in the NBA. Get out of here. That's obviously an exaggeration. He would be super good. He's a good player. He's all right. He's super athletic. I think it's just crazy. I just don't like USC. They got Dennis Rodman's kid there too. So you got LeBron and Rodman's kid on the same team. There's just no way I'll ever support it. I mean, I'm not a hater. It's just like a Southern California rich. Like just let fucking TCU play those kids or something, or Iowa State, and just have it be a blowout. I got to pass this game. I'm going to lean UCLA. UCLA was competitive for most of the game the other night against Arizona, who's significantly better than USC. Shows that they can show up on the road. I'm going to lean UCLA here, but no play. LSU, Bama. Bama fresh off the big win, right? But LSU off the loss. LSU off that Georgia loss. Do we lock this up too? LSU catching 12.5. LSU. Yeah, did Orlando screw? Did you take my TikTok, Victor? Did you take that wager, man? Dude, all the props hit, and then it comes down to fucking the Magic money line. The Magic with Franz back in the lineup, Markelle Fultz back in the lineup against just a depleted Grizzlies team, favored 6.5, and they couldn't even get the win. They lose by a point. They lost by a point. Blew the parlay. Detroit Mercy game. I can't, man. Can I cap the Detroit Mercy game? I can't. I'm not familiar. I stay so absorbed into Power 5, and I'll even leak into maybe a Wichita, an FAU, a Gonzaga, a Northern Illinois, teams like that. A little bit of the local teams here in the Northeast I somewhat pay attention to, like a Vermont or some of those. Detroit Mercy, your opinion is as good as mine. I just if I had anything positive to say, I would absolutely try to help. I can't, so I'm gonna have to pass. LSU. I mean, are we locking this up? I don't think we can. I don't think we can add this to the lock list, but God, LSU, Alabama, that just seems like a lot of points. 12.5. Alabama, they're all fat and sassy. They pulled off the big win over Auburn. It was close. LSU off a loss. I want to say this is a very competitive game. 5-6 point margin. I'd lean LSU with the points. Next game. I'm scrolling because there's a couple trash ones. San Fran against Portland. Probably lean San Fran. They were close. They were competitive, but they didn't quite get the win over Gonzaga. Portland. Is Portland even at home going to be able to keep the number within 13.5? Probably not. I'd lean San Francisco over Portland. San Diego, Pepperdine, I got to pass. It's just a weird game. Very weird vibes. Very, very weird. Very, very odd. Pepperdine, it's like they only got up for the Gonzaga game. I don't know. I just can't trust them, man. Baylor -5. I think we already went over Baylor, no? Pretty sure we already went over Baylor. Who's Baylor play tomorrow? Someone pretty good, right? It's like a 4-point spread. Let me scroll back up real quick. It's somewhere in here. Give me just a second. God, there's so many games tomorrow. What a massive slate. Crazy. I can't even find it right now, honestly. I'll go back at the end of the video. I like Baylor. It was it's TCU. It was TCU. Yeah, just a weird spread though, Victor. Very, very weird, man, in my opinion. I feel like the line should be moving up, and I think it dropped a point, and that's super alarming. I think it went 5.5 to 4.5. Like even your comment says 5.5. Doesn't that seem so weird? The line dropped at Baylor. Why? The money's on Baylor. Baylor's a public play. Baylor's in a bounce back position. They lost to Texas. Very odd. Very odd. I still like them, but man, that's one where you're like, here we go. I'm going to lose my money on some bullshit. Let's get back to this slate. My bad, guys. I had a little cough. Hopefully I didn't blow anyone's ears out. So we're getting down to this thing here. UMass and St. Louis. UMass beat the Mountaineers earlier this year. Road game. I don't know. St. Louis and the points. Not much of an opinion. I have very, very little contact with those two. Ohio State Northwestern. This is interesting. And what's really interesting to me is that the Sharps are kind of on Ohio State here, and it makes no sense to me. I don't think Ohio State's very, very good at all. They barely got by West Virginia at home on a Saturday, like a Saturday night game at home. Barely got by the Mountaineers. Northwestern beat a team like Illinois. Very good at home, has great stats at home. 2.5, probably not going to mess with the spread. Northwestern on the money line. Do we lock this up? I mean, how do we not lock this up? We have to lock this up, no? I mean, this is at least a lock alert. This is at least a lock alert. Yeah. Yeah, we're adding it. We're adding it to the list. We have to do this. Let me edit this. Let me add it. We have to do this. We just have to do this. This is just something you have to do. Why won't this work, man? Fuck it. I don't even care. Computer's tripping, man. Arizona money line. And whatever, man. Computer's not gonna. You know what? Maybe the computer's telling us. The computer's telling us no. Computer's telling us no. It doesn't want to add to the list. No. Fucking computer, man. All right, fine. We won't lock in Northwestern, but I've really liked Northwestern. -146 on the money line. I would not mess with that 2.5 points. Feels like a game where that could get you, but I think they get the job done here. Northwestern at home. Ole Miss, Texas A&M. I think you lean Aggies here, right? I think we go Texas A&M here, laying the points. Just a team that's still, even up to now, is just underachieved. I like Texas A&M in this spot. UNLV, San Jose State, no interest. Utah, Washington. So I played Washington the other night. I tried them on the money line over Colorado, and they went 1 for 8 from 3. Shout out to your boy Jace. What up, Jace? What's good? What's happening? Make sure you lock these in. These locks right here, these are for Jace. I think a lot of them are going to hit. But Washington couldn't get by Colorado at home. What are we doing? Couldn't get by Colorado at home. Now we're in the same position, a slight underdog at home versus Utah. Utah kind of off some tough games lately. They're the better team, but they're kind of soft. It's like, do we go back to the well? Do we try Washington again? This is a team that looks like they quit on their coach. This is not what you want to see. You don't want to see this. The energy, the effort from Washington is not what you want to wager on. But they're at home. Maybe this is one more. Maybe this is one more fucking game against a Utah team that you can kind of bully. Do they get right here? Do we lock them? Do we try to lock them in? Maybe. Do we try to lock them in? I don't think we can lock Washington. They've lost my respect, but I would go Washington here. I would. And I would take that 1.5 because they could eat. This is the type of team that'll screw you at the end, man, and lose by a point on a free throw or a buzzer beater. Take that 1.5. It's minus 120. Take it. Take the 1.5 if you like Washington. I like Washington, but they burnt me on the last game. Gonzaga versus Pacific. Kind of the last game here, last decent game. They're off that very, very good competitive win against San Francisco. That's a good win for this Gonzaga team. They're going to coast against Pacific. I don't know what type of effort we get. Are they going to cover 25.5 being half asleep? Probably. This is a no bet. And that kind of brings us to the conclusion here. Fade Providence off a win. Yeah, I talked about that earlier, man. I went through every single game. Fade Providence off of a win. Jay says fade Providence. Yeah, I mean, I talked about it. Let me go back to that game real quick before we wrap this thing up here. Where are they? So here's the thing with the Providence game, man. Georgetown comes to town led by Ed Cooley, their previous head coach. I'm sure you already know that. But that's what we're working with here. I actually said, yeah, I did say fade Providence. I said Georgetown earlier in the stream. You can go ahead and scroll back in the stream after this concludes. I gave out Georgetown, man. I gave out Georgetown plus 11.5. I think it's too many points. They've shown competitive spirit before. They hung in there competitively against teams like UConn. They've been playing better lately. Providence off of that big win over Seton Hall. And I did give out Providence. You follow my TikTok. You probably saw it. I gave out Providence plus 4.5. They won the game outright. It was an easy cash. I like Georgetown here. I like Ed Cooley to bring his team in and give a good effort. Are they going to lose the game? Probably. Are they going to lose it by 12? Probably not. Probably about a 6.6 or a 7-point win from the Friars here at home. They should take care of business. They got the better roster, but this is college hoops. I like Georgetown to cover this number. People are on Providence. I mean, the 78% of the money is on Providence. Is that because they just knocked off Seton Hall and all people are going to be jumping all over Providence now? Like, woohoo, they beat Seton Hall. Now they're at home over a terrible Georgetown team that actually has been covering some numbers. People are too caught up with recency bias. Yeah, I'd lean Georgetown, but certainly not a game that I would love to bet. If this was at Georgetown, I definitely feel a little bit better here. There you go, guys. That's every single game. Appreciate everybody that came through the stream. I would imagine this is going to grow like wildfire. This is something new, and this is going to be daily, midnight, every single night. You guys got to realize we have college basketball every single day from now until March Madness begins. We're going to do this every night. We're going to get dialed in. I'm going to be the number one guy you guys want to come to for college hoops, because why am I up so late? Why am I up so late? Why do I do all this content late at night? Because I don't do anything else. This is what I do, right? So if I'm not doing good at this, I'm going to fall off the face of the earth. So if you want to fall off the face of the earth with me, you're more than welcome. If I'm late at the gym, I'll let you guys know. Sometimes the streams will run a little bit late, but midnight every single night, we will go over every single game in college basketball. Victor wants a quick parlay before I go. Quick parlay for Saturday, a little Saturday parlay. I will give you a parlay. I'll give you guys a parlay to end the stream. And maybe, you know what? Maybe Victor, maybe that's a good idea. Maybe we'll do that every single stream. I will choose from these locks. You can see the banner going on the bottom of the screen. We will parlay 2 of our locks to end the stream every single stream. So today, let me create one more. Today's parlay is going to be let me just put it on the screen. Boom. Let me add this to the bottom for you guys. There we go. There's our parlay. Keep the bets small on this one, guys. Washington State and Oregon, a Pac-12 money line parlay. I believe that's 2 upset picks as well. Washington State, I think the spread's 1.5. Oregon, 3.5 point dog to Arizona. I think they upset U of A. I think they get the job done over Arizona. So there you go. There's a little parlay. I don't know what the odds are. Let me look up the no. I guys, it's 116. I gotta wake up and get everything done. But yeah, lock in that parlay for like a very small wager, $5-10, whatever you guys want to do. And I'll see you in the next video. Make sure you hit that like button if you enjoyed the stream. I'll see you in the next one.